What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be checking out the Transformers Rise of the Beasts, Weaponizer, Optimus Prime, and Chainclaw. This is one of the first mainline Prime figures that we're checking out over on the channel, and to say I'm excited is an understatement. Now, I know this is the mainline, I know this is a gimmick toy, but I've always been a sucker for the mainline of Transformers, and I mean, come on, this is our first live-action movie for like, what, 5 years? So I'm entitled to be hyped. So as we take a look here at the packaging, we have a really cool image there of Optimus Prime. We have him in the truck mode. Love the graphics that we have here for the back of the box. You know, we can see the Decepticon logo, Black Arachnia, Dinobot, Maximal Insignia's Autobot logos. Hoping that some of these characters actually appear in the movie, as unfortunately we don't really have a good indication that any of the Predacons besides Scorponok are going to be showing up. But here for the side, we get another close-up image of Optimus, and as we come around to the back, we have Prime looking better than he ever has before in both robot and truck, and there we have Chainclaw on the side. Now, all of these mainline figures are a part of the Beast Alliance, which to my knowledge basically means they're all going to be cross-compatible with each other. So you can use the weapons that come with this Optimus, swap it with the Weaponizer Primal that I recently took a look at, or even use some of these weapons with the battle changes, which I've also got a few reviews up over on the channel. So yeah, it's looking to be one of the strongest mainlines I think we've seen for the live action movies in a very long time. So let's check out Optimus Prime and his buddy Chainclaw. And here is the leader of the Autobots back for Transformers Rise of the Beasts. And for one of our first mainline Prime figures, I'm kind of excited because this guy is sick. You know, like he says in the trailer, let them come. Because I feel like this is a teaser, an appetizer as to what we can expect from the upcoming Voyager mainline figure, because this is actually pretty well done. So as we check out the details, you know, in terms of the robot mode, looks to be near enough spot on, more or less, to what we've seen from the latest trailer. Of course, it's simplified, so there's going to be some parts which don't look the greatest, but I think one of the strongest looking gimmick-based Optimus figures ever. You know, I said in my Primal review, I think this Rise of the Beast Alliance line is one of the strongest we've seen across all of the live-action movies. Way better than anything we saw for The Last Knight and definitely Age of Extinction. It's literally like Transformers are back, and I hope the movie delivers. I hope it's on the scale of Transformers Dark of the Moon, as we definitely need a good Transformers movie. But as we check out Prime in robot mode, very nicely detailed looking head. I mean, that looks so sick. Stand down! Even better detail than the Studio Series B Voyager? I kind of think so, especially around the eyes. I mean, that looks really great, and the rest of the body I don't think looks too bad at all. It's severely lacking a bit of paint. It's nothing I couldn't spruce up myself, not gonna lie. You know, I could maybe do a few touch-ups to the torso and definitely here to the arms, but yeah, it looks pretty cool from a proportion perspective, and I like the metallic silver shoulder pads we have. They all look pretty nifty, and then as we come down here to the legs, it's essentially the B-movie design in a nutshell. You know, if you liked that design, then I think you're going to like Rise of the Beast Prime, because they are basically identical. You know, all of this detail looks really cool. Unfortunately, as we come around to the back, he is very hollow, much like some of those Earthspark Warrior class figures, but I don't think terrible. I mean, you've got to bear in mind, this is only $15. It also comes with a Beast Alliance companion, has a decent transformation, so yeah, I can't complain too much. And even the heel spurs, look at that. Very nicely sculpted. My biggest qualm with the bot mode would have to be these kind of massive truck panels we have for the hands, because if he smacks a Terracon with one of these, they are definitely going to know about it, because that is massive. But in terms of his articulation, we get a very nice swivel which can go left to right. Technically, due to transformation, you could tilt this upwards, although he has this huge gash in the neck. Kind of looks like he's been taken out by Scourge, so I maybe wouldn't recommend hinging that up. But the shoulders are on ball joints. We also get a hinge joint, so that's kind of cool. They've even added a little gap filler there, so wasn't expecting that from a mainline figure. There's a ball joint here out of the shoulder which can go forwards and backwards, a waist joint which is so sick. We didn't see this on the Weaponizer Primal, and some pretty cool ball joints here out of the hips. You know, they can go forwards and backwards, out to the sides, ball joints out of the knees which can bend to 90 and can also rotate. Unfortunately, nothing out of the ankles, but you know, like I said, it's a simplified toy. Honestly, not going to complain too much, and just standing there, it's a pretty nicely done looking version of Prime. Now, of course, the big gimmick with these Weaponizers are their Beast Alliance companions, and Prime comes with maybe the best one yet, that being Chainclaw. So it's very similar to Arrow Stripe that we saw with Primal. It basically has a Beast mode and then a Weaponizer, almost Target Master mode, and he looks sick. It's kind of this weaponized mechanical wolf, so fully decked out in blue plastic, which I think looks great, and very nice metallic silver mechanized panels. Articulation wise, you know, basically just hinge joints back and forth here out of the shoulders, so not too dynamic. But in terms of its transformation, what you're going to want to do is take these legs here, flip them to the front, take this tiny little section, pull it forwards, and now what you can do is take the back legs, flip those forwards, and then take his butt and basically break it, swivel it here all the way around, and bang, there is Chainclaw in his chainsaw mode. And I really like this. You know, like I said in the Primal review, this reminds me of when Prime armors up in the Dark of the Moon video game to take out Megatron. It's just super nostalgic, and to be fair, even the color is pretty on point to that video game, so maybe they took inspiration from that, I'm not too sure. But you know, very nice detail there for the chain. It would have been sick had this been decked out in silver, but much like the figure, you know, it's nothing that I can't spruce up for myself. So yeah, he basically has a chainsaw coming out of his ass. That must be very painful. Now, in terms of weaponizing Prime up, you know, you can peg it into the arm, so you can have him taking out Scourge. It's me and you, Scourge. Primal, stand down. Or if you wanted to, you could peg it here onto the side of the arm, and there's loads of different ports here at the back, which I imagine we'll make more use of once we get more weaponizers and, you know, maybe some of the other combiner figures that are set to be released. So yeah, overall pretty solid. Now we're going to save the size comparisons for the later half of the video. Let's get stuck into his transformation. So again, very simplistic. You're going to want to take the head, rotate it here all the way to the back, and then just take this, fold it down, and it will collapse into this hollow cavity. We can then hinge the shoulders up, rotate here at the upper torso, just like this. Now what you're going to want to do is flip up the heel spurs and do the same here for this side, and basically hook the legs together, so snap them in like that. We can then bring the shoulders back, rotate here at the elbow, bring these sections forwards. Now this can be a little tricky, because what you have to do is make sure that this red panel overlaps over this silver one, so you're going to want to make sure it looks like that. And then as you come here to the underside, basically the skirt has to slide into a tiny little hollow groove, and then we just snap it in there. So do the same here for this side, rotate this around, make sure that this piece is over the top of that silver panel, and then just shoot it into that tiny little hollow cavity. And then for some finishing touches, rotate the hips upwards, and these little tabs are going to smack themselves into those slots, and bang! There is Optimus Prime fully transformed up into his iconic, almost G1-esque style of truck, and it looks pretty cool. Now, of course, the biggest thing you're going to notice is that it's kind of inaccurate to how he's going to look in the upcoming movie, because there's no bull bar, which is a shame, because it's the biggest difference between the Rise of the Beast truck and the Bumblebee movie truck. So basically, this is just a B-movie Prime truck, but again, you know, it doesn't look too bad. Nice details here from the front, which I think look kind of sick. I like the smokestacks, you know, no cat ears. I like the Masterpiece figure, and then as we come here to the back, you know, much like the Earthspark Warrior class figure, we sadly do get the feet just sticking out. I mean, it would have been so cool had they added a little hinge joint here for the toe, just so we could have hinged these back. I mean, there's more than enough hollow space on the underside, so I don't think that would have been too much to ask. And in terms of storage here for Chainclaw, again, we've got various different ports, so you can smack him onto the side and have Prime absolutely mincing up some of the Terracons, or maybe the Predacons, even in his vehicle mode. And because this is Prime, we have to test out his ability to roll out. So yes, he does roll out really cool. You know, surprisingly, we get pinned on wheels despite this being a mainline figure, so that's kind of sweet. But the middle one, unfortunately, is fake. It doesn't roll at all, but it does have a big port, so, you know, I guess you can use it when in the robot mode to weaponize Optimus up. Now, jumping into a few size comparisons, here we have both of the Rise of the Beast weaponizers. Stand down! I'm not the one to fear Prime. And in terms of which one I prefer, I mean, come on, it's got to be Optimus Prime. I thought Primal was a cool figure for what he was, but articulation, engineering, and just the way he looks in his robot mode, Optimus is definitely superior. And as I alluded to in the opening segment, you know, the whole idea of Beast Alliance is that you can take weapons from this guy and put him on this guy, and vice versa. So if you wanted to, you could really weaponize Primal out. So we can take Chainclaw, you know, we can smack him into the forearm port, we can then take Arrow Stripe, give this to Primal, and literally have him armed to the teeth. And there's going to be more of these guys, you know, we've got a few Target Masters coming out. There's going to be a Cheetor, a Skullcruncher, and a Rhinox, so really excited to see as to how we can implement them onto some of the other figures. And yeah, that's kind of sweet, you know, Terracon Scourge has definitely got his work cut out, because if Primal equips himself with some of these weapons, he's certainly going to be able to take Scourge Scourge's head clean off. But getting back down to the size comparisons, here we have the Weaponizer Prime alongside the Battle Changer version, which is essentially a scale and price point lower than the Weaponizers, I believe. And you know what, in terms of robot mode, they both look good, but of course the Weaponizer Prime is just vastly superior. It's got a lot less junk, it's more articulated, and not to mention, I think it's probably the more accurate out of the two, just because we haven't seen the truck mode of this guy on the set of Rise of the Beasts, and it just makes more sense for him to be the flat-nosed truck than that kind of Beast Hunter's truck that this thing's going to turn into. But, you know, they're both fun figures, both very simple to transform, and still very nicely detailed. Here he is alongside the most comparable figure out of the bunch, the Warrior Class Earthspark Prime. They're basically the same in terms of how they operate and their design, etc. You know, all of the points of articulation this guy had, this figure has, although there is a slight difference in terms of scale, and I think that's just due to this one coming with the Beast Alliance companion, whereas this merely did just have a small built-in weapon on the side. But yeah, gimmick toys definitely seem to be getting a whole lot better with some of the most recent Transformers lines, and I only hope that continues, because simple toys should be still enjoyable and fun and shouldn't just be super cheap and lazy like we saw from some of the ones from Age of Extinction. And very quickly firing through a few deluxe mainline comparisons, here we have the deluxe class Cheetor, Wheeljack aka Elton John, Nightbird, Maximal Air Razor, and just to keep the hype train going, the Studio Series Leader Class Scourge, which is the best I can do at the moment because we sadly don't have a kind of mainline scaled Voyager Optimus to go along with this Scourge, but for the time being, it's not going to stop me from having heaps of fun. The darkness is coming, and I'm here to end you, Scourge. And then very quickly jumping back for some vehicle mode comparisons, we have Prime and Primal. I hope there's a shot in the movie where Prime is in truck mode and Primal's kind of like jumping along next to him. That's just going to be so sick. But yeah, I mean, in terms of scale, it's kind of hard to gauge with this comparison because Primal basically just squats a little bit. So I guess comparing him alongside the Battle Changers Prime would be a little better. And like I said, in robot mode, I mean, I think this one's just going to be way more accurate because I can't really see this truck mode appearing in the movie. I mean, maybe it will. It does kind of beg the question as to why it's in the toy line if it's not going to appear in the movie, so I guess only time will tell. But I mean, both are really cool looking trucks, but you can see that this one, the Weaponizer, is much larger in terms of its height. And finally, here we have him alongside the Earthspark Warrior Prime, and something which kind of struck me when I was converting him is the transformation for these two is basically exactly the same. The heel spurs flip in, the arms go in the same position, the head rotates, the waist rotates in the same way, so it's literally like they just took the engineering from this and smacked it onto this Rise of the Beast version. But yeah, you know, the Earthspark truck is a little bigger in terms of length, but I think there's about equal amounts of plastic, especially if you smack on the Beast Alliance buddy. Which, talking of, here is Chainclaw alongside Arrow Stripe that came with Primal, and yeah, these two are pretty decent in terms of how they scale with each other. And wrapping up on this review for the Weaponizer, Optimus Prime and Chainclaw, as you guys could probably guess, I'm having heaps of fun with this figure, and I think that's exactly what the aim of these releases are. You know, they're not meant to be as super sophisticated, as super articulated or detailed as the likes of our mainline Voyagers or Studio Series, etc. They are meant to just be simplified, fun toys, and I think that's exactly what they are. You know, the robot mode surprisingly looks a lot better than I personally would have ever imagined a gimmick-based Prime to look. You know, very nicely detailed, severely lacking in the paint department, but it's nothing I couldn't fix myself. And to be fair, I don't actually know if I'm going to pack any paint on this guy, because with the lack of paint, you can throw this thing around. You can have it blasting through walls. You know, Scourge could vaporize him with his EMP blaster, much like how Megatron fired at Prime in the 2007 Mission City battle. I also like the Beast Alliance aspect of these figures, you know, to get Chainclaw and to basically rip the chainsaw out of his butt and turn him into this weapon that Prime can use, I think is great. You know, very gimmicky, very fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this mainline plays out. Of course, these are not going to be for everybody, but if you just want a fun, simplistic, almost core-like Optimus Prime figure based on the upcoming movie, then I don't think this is a bad pickup at all, especially to tie you over if you're impatient like myself for the eventual Voyager version. I'd love to get your thoughts down below on what you guys think of not only this Weaponizer Optimus, but just the main line of Rise of the Beast in general, and until my next video, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.